You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacqueline.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You are watching the Business Talk Show, and I am Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. It is a pleasure to have you here with us today. I absolutely love this show. We always have the most amazing guests who are helping us with their expertise in the realm of business. With me today, as always, is the dynamic and fascinating Mr. Al Cini as my co-host. Hello, Al.
Too hot to be dynamic, Dr. Jacqueline. I know
it's hot.
I broke the Labor Day rule. I'm wearing a seersucker jacket. It is about 93 outside, I think, here in the Philadelphia area. It's and beautiful, bright sunshine. It's the endless summer, dear.
Well, I haven't been outside yet, but I think this studio is probably 10 degrees hotter than that. So hence no jacket or sleeves. You know, it's funny, Al, this morning on Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich, I was talking to Ian and Helena about the fact that after Labor Day here in the States, we're not supposed to wear certain clothes, including white. So I put all of my white clothes away, and they don't have anything about when summer ends, putting white clothes away or changing what you're doing. And Ian shared that he likes to wear winter clothes through a lot of the year anyway.
I think in Britain, it's funny. Summer is only about 15 minutes long. It starts somewhere in July and ends somewhere in July. And it's already, I've got friends in the UK, and it's dark early. It's cold, down in the 40s and 50s at night. They have a kind of a different kind of a season structure than we do. I think our summer lasts longer.
How do you think that the seasons, if they do, affect business? I know that's a huge question, but you know, there's a lot of seasonality. There's a lot of holidays. We're coming into that holiday season now, and people start, this is on sale, that's on sale. Let's rush this holiday through.
You know, I don't, first of all, we closed two of the biggest projects that we've ever done in August. So
congratulations.
You know, that theory that you can't get anything done during the summer is really just more of an excuse to not sell something than it is reality. And often, but holidays do screw things up. There's no doubt about that. And vacation schedules, especially around the end of August, the beginning of September, it's not always easy to get a hold of the people that need to make the decisions to schedule the things that need to be done. So I expect that to start to relax Monday or Tuesday next week, and September and October should be back to, well, whatever normal is. Back to normal.
Whatever it will be. You bring up a really good point. My dad was an automotive dealer, and he had two locations, and I worked at one of them as the finance manager. And long story short, he would say, okay, we've got to get the numbers up. We need more sales. And the sales force would always have something to say, like, no one's going to be buying cars today because it's raining.
It's hot.
No one's going to come in today because it's sunny. No one's going to come in because it's a day after a long holiday weekend. And they're all excuses, right?
They really are just all excuses. I mean, most people just say things that they believe without realizing they're not facts. And, you know, understanding the difference between a fact and a belief is a difficult challenge for a lot of people, me included. It's an easy kind of a trap to fall into. I think every now and then you want to give yourself an excuse to cut yourself a little bit of slack. A lot of that, I think, is what Pat Roquet is going to be. Some of that, I'm imagining, is what Pat Roquet will be talking about when she joins the program. I noticed she's in the yard backstage. So
yes,
in a minute.
She will definitely be coming out and sharing what it's like to overcome adversity and how you really can transform your life. Things happen to us. Situations occur, and we have to make certain decisions, and we make those decisions, and meanwhile there's a whole new path for us that takes us down a road that we never could have envisioned. And Pat has an amazing story. So before we bring her out, though, I'd love to hear what you're doing over on BCAT. What are you doing there?
Well, we real quick, what we have is a program that takes teams and aligns their people around their purpose. And it's a program that works for all kinds of teams, all kinds of sizes, not-for-profits, for-profits, even government and schools. And it works really well. And, we have an embarrassingly high net promoter score of like 9.995. So everybody reports that the experience is enjoyable, enlightening, and actually fun. And we now offer a webinar. I get together with no more than 15 or 20 people at a time once a month to talk about how you can do it yourself, and also to talk about our methodology that we use to wrap a little bit of science around that to make the whole thing more predictable and structured and effective.
There's nothing like putting science to something, right? Because it adds so much credibility and really makes a big difference. It's not like somebody just saying it.
If you want to teach it to somebody else, and over the next couple of months, we'll be building out a certification program. If you want to teach it to somebody else, then it's got to be something you can teach them. It can't just be personality. It's got to be some kind of a methodology. Personality helps deliver it, but at the core of it, there needs to be steps that you follow to get to where you need to go. And we've choreographed that pretty well over the last couple of years.
Well, wonderful. I'm very happy for you. That's terrific.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring on Pat Roquet. We haven't seen her in a while. It'd be nice to catch up with her. Pat, welcome to the program. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you at the moment. Yeah, these things happen. I love technology, right? It's great when it works, and other times when it doesn't work.
We can turn on closed captioning and lip reading. I think that's a new feature of StreamYard.
I know. It's funny because this has happened with other people and they start cursing, and I'll say to them later, hello, everybody can see you cursing.
We can't hear you. I've got that shirt that I got from still can't. We got that shirt. I have that shirt that says you're on mute.
Yes.
Put that on.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, we still can't hear you for some reason, but Pat has an amazing story, something, I'll let her tell her own story, but she had something happen in her life, in her corporate career that really, and I'm not using pivot or shift, what's another word? It caused her to go in a different direction, and she overcame a lot of adversity to get to where she is. And now she is really somebody, yes, there you are. She's somebody who's really changing the way people look at things and their perspective, and helping people really lean into their authentic selves and get rid of a lot of that clutter that keeps us from going nowhere. So welcome, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, welcome. Happy fall. You can hear me, right?
More or less.
Yes.
I miss you guys.
We miss you too. We haven't seen you in a while. Are you still down in South Carolina?
I am looking at the beautiful turquoise water flowing and ebbing like life, and working real hard, and lots of good things going on. So I'm excited to be here because times are changing and it just gets more fun every minute. So having a good time, working hard, staying out of trouble. Maybe.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Pat, you haven't been on the show in a while, and before we get into what it is you're doing now, I'd love for you just to give some background. I tried to tee up a little bit about your story, but there's nothing like hearing it from you yourself. So I'm going to spotlight you and take it away. Tell us all about Pat Roquet.
Pat Roquet. Well, thank you for having me. I'm the 30-year overnight success, I guess you would say. But in any event, truly, have had my business 33 years. I started when I was in diapers. My gift is helping you find your zone of genius and bringing out the best in not just you, but your teams. And the thing I learned, Dr. Jacqueline and Al, over the summer is that I help people fall in love with their jobs and companies to love them back. And so that's been a really interesting, eye-opening moment, because I was the entrepreneur for 20 years. I was the great corporate employee for another 10, did my master's thesis on best practices for virtual teams in spring 2001. So 20 years ago, right before 9/11, before the towers fell. And don't forget, I lived, 15 minutes outside the city watching them burn, and lost family and friends. And it was crazy. And so I've been helping individuals and teams through crisis and through unforeseen moments. You talked about pivot. Sometimes we get to choose it and sometimes it chooses us. So I've been doing that a long time, in the last 5 really working on career and leadership strategy. So what are the things we've been doing the hard way that we really shouldn't? And how do we figure out what we're meant to do so that we can thrive in our zone of genius and bring out the best in ourselves and other people? And so that's been my passion and my purpose, and having a lot of fun and uncovering a lot of data and a lot of new things that are bubbling up in the world and solving problems. And so happy to be here and share some ideas with you.
That's great. So, Pat, as you were talking, I was thinking it sounds like you've got 2 kinds of clients. One kind of client is the person who hates their job. The other kind of client is the person who runs a company who hates the people that work for them.
No, I'm gonna say maybe those were the old people, but truly the best thing is that there's now what we're calling the Great Resignation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that there has been so much change that's happened to us as humans, and we've been isolated for 18 months now and thinking about what really matters. And so people are learning to reevaluate what matters to them and their family, what they're able to do, what they want to do, what they actually want and deserve. And so I actually work with leaders and teams and individuals who want to help people do their best and show up their best in now a virtual workforce. So it's not that they hate their job. It's just maybe they felt overlooked, or maybe they felt like they weren't really putting their best selves forward. They were living to work and not working to live. And so when people get clear on their strength and their zone of genius and actually know what excites them about getting up out of bed in the morning, where they can really make an impact, and they put their effort toward their best self, their A game. If you got to play in your A game, Al, I'm listening to you talk about your new program and the shift in your certification. You are playing your A game, and the smile on your face makes it obvious. Dr. Jacqueline, blowing it up with all the TV and all the additional shows and the content and the thought leadership, she's playing her A game. When you're in that place, it's not that you feel bad about what you're missing. It's that you really know that there are people on the other side waiting for you. And so if companies learn how to attract the right people and they learn how to keep them engaged and happy, those people bring more people. And so instead of having, I just talked to a corporate leader that said to me, she's got 2,200 and something open roles, 2,200 open jobs in a top consulting firm that pays big bucks, great benefits, great reputation. They can't fill jobs. How do we solve the fact that people are having this reawakening moment and having to redecide what matters? And how do you become an employer of choice and a talent magnet so people want to be there where they can be their best selves and they can show up and do their best work? That's a lot more fun than dealing with the people who are like, oh, this sucks and I hate it, and they're whining and they're complaining. And if you look back on patterns, they might have whined and complained before and the time before that too.
So
Interesting.
that is interesting. I love that. Of the 35 million people who listen and watch Dr. Jacqueline, the Business Talk Show.
I thought it was 40 million now. No.
It is 40 million. I underestimated again. But of the 46 million people who watch our program, some of them are thinking about leaving their jobs because they feel disconnected from any sense of purpose. They feel as though their life doesn't matter. And some of them are people who are losing people because of that feeling. That you want them both to call you, don't you? I mean, that you have solutions for both of them.
Very much so. Very much so. So we are solving problems for folks who are looking to elevate where they are. Maybe they want a leadership role. Maybe they want more responsibility, a bigger responsibility. They want to lead more people. Some people want to, maybe by choice or by chance, they now need to leave their organization, or they were displaced. They were furloughed and then lost their job and lost their hope. And now they know, I'm good at this, but I need to go find some place to apply my talent. So moving up, maybe moving over. And then there's folks who realize it's time to do something different. We've helped a lot of people who have hit, a lot of my clients are the mid 40s to or even early 60s, let's just say. I'm the youngest boomer. I'm 57. And so I know, too young, right, Al? That's what you were thinking. But, what do I want for this next chapter? And does it necessarily have to be what I did before? And so if we can get people clear on what they want and what they're good at, where their strengths lie, and they learn how to speak up in their organizations, they can be invincible and they can change the world. They don't have to leave and job hop to do it. And so I'll be happy to share. We'll talk about some of the data that's out there, things that are happening out in the world that's causing the shift. And some of the solutions that some big organizations are out there offering, and maybe some things that your audience can think about so that they are speaking their truth, standing up for themselves, and having a voice, not just complaining about what's not the way they want it to be, but how do we empower them and give them the tools to raise their hand and be those proactive problem solvers. That's the difference.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I've got a bunch of questions that I want to ask, but we have to go to a break. When we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about this. Al and I were just talking before the show. So I was in corporate for my whole career, and I left, and I had a great career, but you could not pay me to go back. And I know there are a lot of people out there thinking, I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. I don't want to drive anymore. I don't want to commute. So when people are looking to make a shift, at least I found with my experience, I needed a coach. I really need somebody to help me figure out what it was I wanted. And it sounds like that's something that you can help people with very easily.
We do. We absolutely do. But it's really a matter of realizing that some people are going to want to complain and not be happy no matter what. Those are not my people. And some people are going to say, can you find me a cheap resume writer? Because for $100, I want to make over my life and start my great new job. And a resume is the last piece of the puzzle. So one of the things that we talk quite a bit about is the 5 cornerstones of how to grow, right? The first is clarity. What matters most to you? What are your strengths? What is your zone of genius? What do you really want and deserve? What do you want the next chapter to look like? Because it doesn't necessarily look like the last. So clarity is 1. Confidence is number 2. How do you take inventory of your skills, your accomplishments, and your transferable skills? Because the hiring manager, so what, who cares? They don't want to know what you did for the last company unless you can put it in a value model of how it impacts them. What will you take off their plate? How can they sleep better at night knowing you're on their team? Right? So that's 2. The third is about communicating and really learning how to now articulate your value. How do you introduce yourself if you're in between jobs? How do you introduce yourself if you are in a job, but you really are looking and don't want your boss to find out? That happens. Because some of us have been identified, we are our job title. That's our self-identity. And so we're really trying to give people a sense of self-worth and self-identity beyond their role. And so it's clarity, confidence, communicating. It's about connecting. How do we leverage having all the tools? Our LinkedIn's updated, our resume's what it needs to be. And how do we leverage real people? Because when you take all 5 facets and put it together, people are the difference in how we move forward faster, how we find those right fit moments, how we know that we're a culture fit. Because the most important part of a job strategy today is making sure you know the right people and that you can articulate your value and you're a culture fit. It's expensive to hire the wrong people, and it's brutal and cruel to to have the wrong job, right? It's torture to get up every day knowing you're in the wrong place after you've spent all this time and told the world, I've got this great job, and then it sucks. That's painful. So what can we do to help people get out ahead and realize they've set, I guess, like a GPS, right? If you get in your car, you don't just drive. You have to know what to plug in the GPS, because you either sit in your driveway or you drive in circles. And so from an individual basis, we've spent a lot of the last 6 years helping individuals figure that out. And interestingly enough, I thought that maybe that would make companies not want to speak with me. And I'm being totally honest, because I could help their executives leave, except what I've learned now is they actually want me more because I know why people quit. And so, right, thousands of people have told me exactly verbatim why they quit. The things they don't tell their boss, maybe ever, maybe on an exit interview, but how do we get out ahead of that? And so it's been a really amazingly fun way to turn the story around and work with organizations and say, how do we stop the bleeding? I can solve the Great Resignation for you. I know how. Yeah, isn't that cool? It's kind of interesting and fun. And now you've got leaders who are sitting at a table, like you said, with executive roundtables. I do that a lot now. We talk about it. And so when you realize you as the head of Merrill Lynch versus the head of another pharma company versus, all these big organizations are sharing so many similar challenges. What if we bring you together and you get to think out loud about them and realize, A, you're not alone. B, you've got some new colleagues who are not in your company, which is nice to have a safe place, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when we solve problems, it's not just going to put bread on my table and help my family, but I've got one client I'm working on. They have 80,000 members in their employee resource group, 80,000. Wow. And I'm helping them reevaluate things like what happens if you're an individual in your day job, head down doing computer coding, and in your volunteer work for the same company, you're running an employee resource group with 20,000 people. You're a leader, you're vocal, you're recruiting, you're engaging, you're running events, you're doing all this external outward stuff. And in your day job, you're on the keyboard. How do we take the best of both sides of you and help you grow in your career? Because your boss wants you coding, right? Head down, get it done. And 20,000 people are amazed and thankful that you're there leading their employee resource group. So those are really next level challenges. That's where I've been all summer, is really solving some incredibly cool, different problems. And I guess it's because we learned so much about what was, as Al alluded to, right? What was making people cranky, crabby, quitting, and just miserable. And now I'm taking that information and saying, hey, company owner, business leader, division manager, if you could solve this problem and help your people want to stay and be happy and bring their friends, you now have a referral. Referrals stay longer than external recruits, right? Because their culture is already woven in. So there's a lot of really cool shift in the wind. And maybe part of it's because this pandemic sucks and it's 18 months and we're exhausted and people are saying, if I leave, what do I do? Or they leave and they come back like boomerangs, they call it. They're leaving, quitting, and then coming back to their same company going, oh, it wasn't as great not working as I thought. Can I come back now?
Well, Pat, whatever you're doing certainly suits you because you're all lit up about it. So
it's fun.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. We are going to take a break now and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more from Al and Pat. Stay with us on USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at dianefloydboehm.com. Visit dianefloydboehm.com. That's dianefloydboehm.com.
Meet the modern learner. Like most of us, the modern learner is short on time, on the go, and wants to learn on their terms and device of choice. The key is to meet them whenever and wherever they may be. The solution? Best-in-class content served up by the Engagement mobile learning platform, where the modern learner is at the center of the learning experience. For example, they can receive a text message that alerts them to a new learning module. They simply tap, watch, read and engage, or play a fun learning game. We transform your content into modules that are timely, accurate, academically rigorous, yet engaging and robust. Personality motivators are blended with modern adult learning principles to make it faster and more natural to absorb the content and have fun while learning. Our cutting-edge platform offers something for everyone. It can be an immersive experience where learners explore and engage based on what's relevant to them in that moment, or they can follow a set curriculum, earning badges and tracking points toward a credit or goal, or they can dive deeper into high-value professional content relating to their topic of interest. It's binge learning at its best. All this, along with an entire portfolio of real-time, usable data and KPIs for stakeholders. Imagine, share up-to-the-minute news, enhance current curriculum, build knowledge banks, drive sales, and foster community in the push of a button. To learn more or see a demo, please contact support@engagement.com.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline, the Business Talk Show. My name is Al Cini, and this is Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck.
Hi, everyone.
And we're interviewing on Business Talk Radio, by the way, and USA Global TV, and hundreds, it feels like, of social media networks as well. Pat Roquet is our guest, and before the break, we started to make a connection between what you're currently doing, Pat, which is dealing with the Great Resignation. And mentally, I'm thinking what I've been through and what Dr. Jacqueline has been through in our corporate lives. Dr. Jacqueline, maybe you can talk a little bit about your experience and, why this Great Resignation thing seems inevitable to you.
Oh, just quickly on my experience, I spent 9 months working with a coach to come up with a plan to actually leave corporate because my health was actually starting to suffer. And I realized it had a lot to do with what I was doing. I had a great career. I loved it, but it wasn't serving me well health-wise. And working with a coach, I planned, strategized, came up with plan A, B, and C, wrote the resignation letter, handed it in. The pandemic hit. I quickly had to move to plan B. And before I knew it, I was close to plan C. And then things started to turn around. So it's been quite a journey.
That sounds familiar. Pat, you were mentioning you've got a lot of statistics that tell Dr. Jacqueline and me that we're not alone.
You are so not alone. First of all, I've been fired more than once. I call it fired up now. But really, so in this career in the pharmaceutical industry, I couldn't figure out why I'd have my biggest sale of my career. I did a $2.5 million sale. It was the biggest sale my company ever had. And 3 weeks later, I got a PIP, a performance improvement plan, which made no sense, right? until I realized that they owed me 8% commission on $2.5 million and didn't feel like cutting a check. So it was easier to come up with some cockamamie performance improvement needs that were all bogus. But they had a habit of letting go, not paying the commission, taking a fraction of the commission, hiring the next person. This really twisted approach to financial solvency. I don't get it, but it happened more than once. And I realized I'm not the only one. Not that I'm perfect, because I'm surely not, but where do I find smart, successful people who seem to have been kicked in the teeth for reasons beyond their own performance? And that's one of the reasons I got involved in the pharma space, because if a brand did not get approved, if FDA did not approve a drug, teams lost their jobs. If Genentech and Roche merged, my whole book of business that took me 2 years, I went from 1 to 8 brands, it all went away and I had to start over. So step one is, you're not imagining it, Dr. Jacqueline. Same thing happened to me. I'm like, how many times do I have to have the same thing happen before I realize I need to do something different? So that was important. But so now what's happening? So there were furloughs, there were layoffs, some companies were folding, others were so busy that they're just exhausted. So here are some jaw-dropping insights that made me stop dead in my tracks and think differently about how can I make a bigger impact, and who am I serving, and what can we do to help? So 1 in 4 employees were thinking of leaving their jobs. Some of those numbers say as high as 7 out of 8 were disengaged. Gallup, the Gallup people, 7 out of 8 were disengaged before the pandemic. So they were showing up at work with 1 foot out the door before the pandemic, right? 42% of workers say if their current company does not offer remote work or radical flexibility going forward, they're leaving, they're done. Almost half. That's a lot. A record high 48% of all small businesses have had to cut jobs. Employees are reporting they're burned out, they're exhausted, and the mental health crisis is real. So the expenses for mental health are going up. The services, thankfully, are also coming up, but it's really important. And what we're seeing is this trend they're calling rage quitting. Remember that old song, "Take This Job and Shove It, I Ain't Working Here No More"? Like an old bad country song from back in the day. Well, people are starting to sing that loud as their national anthem and leaving. And so a lot of problems. So I'm a solution person. I never stop at the problems. And so I've been paying attention to what else is happening. So LinkedIn, I'm a thought leader on LinkedIn. I'm a guest on the show and stuff. Pay a lot of attention. Andrew Seaman is one of the editors. He's an awesome guy. His hashtag is Get Hired. He's helping people. And he did a survey, and in a week's time, almost 4,300 people responded. And they said, if you had to choose, what would be your number one priority when selecting a new job? Money, power, opportunity, or happiness? What do you think, Al? What do you think won?
Not money. I know that. Money was probably pretty close to the bottom. I don't know.
Money, 12%. Power, 2%.
Huh.
Happiness, right?
I put opportunity. I'm going to say why. Because I figured if there were opportunities, I could carve my own happiness and my flexibility based on opportunity. That's how my brain works. But
right.
Happiness was number one. More than half the people said that was the number one criteria for how they chose the next job they were going to. That told me something, that things had shifted, right? And then Deloitte did a talk, and they were talking about, they're calling it the she session. Instead of recession, it's a she session, because women are the primary caregivers in families, and they are leaving their workforce in droves. So unemployment's going up. And what happens is when unemployment runs out, you fall off the unemployment statistic. So they can say that number raises and lowers, but the trick is once you run out of unemployment benefit, you're not counted either way. So it's a false number. But I can tell you that lack of engagement is killing companies. And the women who are staying are suffering under what they're calling the suffocating under the glass ceiling. You've heard of the glass ceiling, right? The executives were getting all the attention and the training, but I've gotten calls I had 3 companies call in the same week telling me, we need your energy. We need you to come back and re-engage our people because we laid off people. So their friends got fired, and the ones that stayed got promoted. Sounds good, right? But They were never trained as managers or leaders. They were just good individual performers who suddenly were thrust into this role of responsibility without any training. So how do you go from buddy to boss? Al, you're my peer, and now you're taking orders from me, or I'm taking orders from you. Maybe Joe has not been trained to mentor or lead as a coach, right, Dr. Jacqueline? How important the way you talk to people and help people and support them is very important. So it used to be more of a directional, older people leading younger people, speaking down to them, telling them what to do. Total stereotype I just made, but a coaching mentality. People were not trained to be coaches, so they don't know how to lead. They only know how to perform for themselves. And now what happens when you still have to perform and manage the troubles of 20 people whose kids have COVID and school got closed and all this stuff. So people's heads are exploding because some of them got what they thought they wanted. They got a promotion and a title, but they're not ready. They're just not ready. And so that's all these things were happening. And I'm thinking, I could solve that. I could solve that. And then Gartner did a workshop. There were 3 middle-aged white guys leading a workshop on radical flexibility. And not once did one of them mention the word woman in the talk. But who really needs the flexibility? The women, for the most part, as the largest group, because we're doing the primary family caregiving, the healthcare quarterbacking, the shopping, the schooling, all of it, right? So radical flexibility is something that I totally believe in. It's where companies are thinking about, how do we not only say that you don't necessarily have to be lined up in the seats next to each other for me to know that you're a good worker, but what if you were able to not only say, I'm going to be working from home, but these are the hours, this is what I'm responsible for, and this is the window of when we should be communicating as a team, because global teams are exhausted and they're literally in meetings 24/7, 7 days a week. There's no break. So how do we create a cadence for communicating, not just speaking clearly or having the right message, but even the cadence has become so sorely lacking. And so all these things are, my best practices for virtual teams, my master's thesis, are coming in super loud and clear now. And people are saying, we can't do this. And I'm thinking, companies have been virtual for over 20 years, guys. What if you're at Bank of America headquarters? And I'm just picking a company, any headquarters, right? Charlotte, North Carolina. What if you were in the New Jersey headquarters? What if you were in a branch somewhere in the country or somewhere around the world? Not everybody sits down the street from the ivory tower, nor have they been. But now, because COVID forced so many to have to suddenly move, people are freaking out. And there's ways to be calm and keep your employees happy and keep them accountable and keep them proud of their work and keep them from feeling invisible, because those are some of the words coming out of their mouths of why they're unhappy, why they are quitting in droves.
Wow. Pat, I just wanted to segue onto something. Those numbers or the statistics are staggering. I know I worked from home for almost my entire corporate career. And what would happen is, when the company's numbers started to take a nosedive, or the projections weren't being met, they wanted to bring everybody back into an office somewhere. And it's like a pattern of behavior. And so I was always one to say, no, not going. So do you think that they're, going forward, that because of the sheer numbers of people who are now caretakers, or they have family members at home, maybe older people, younger people, and they're in the balance, that maybe the employee will have a lot of impact and say, we're not going back to brick and mortar structure. We don't care about those leases you have on that commercial real estate. This is what we need.
There's a few things happening that both sides don't understand. They don't have all the facts. I happen to be this fox in the hen house. I'm a preferred provider for SHRM. So the HR people can get their professional development credits from me, for example.
Nice.
So I'm with them as one of their trainers and partners all the time. I'm with the employees because they're the people that wanted the individual coaching for all these years. So what they're missing is that, and I had a boss at WebMD, I had a boss. If we were in the office, we got yelled at. What are you doing here? You're not bringing in business or helping us grow if you're sitting here looking at your colleagues. right? So the mentality was be out in the world, talk to other people, check in when you need to, but do your thing. And then I went to one of their competitors and was told, oh, you're remote 5 days a week. And the gentleman in charge there was like, oh no. And he wanted you in your seat side by side. Now I have ADD. Having a row full of people with an open office makes my head explode. I just don't function really well. It's me. I get it. But I've always been that way. That has been a challenge, truly, physically, literally a challenge. So his mentality was there. So now people are putting on their headsets. They're shopping on Amazon. They're doing all these other things. Just because a body is in front of you does not mean that they're being productive in any way, shape, or form. So that's one. The other interesting part, Dr. Jacqueline, that people aren't talking about, I had a CFO, of a major global company who's been a friend and client for years. And she said, I've got 29 million reasons that my team's all going to put their butts back in the seats. Okay, excuse me. The states are offering economic development funding to make sure that companies are putting their employees back physically in the buildings. So HR is out asking the employees, what do you want, all warm and fuzzy? And the bean counters are saying, oh, I don't care what they say they want, but we're not giving back $30 million. So bring them in. They have to come in. We'll figure it out later, but they have to come back to work and they have to be in the office. So those things are happening and no one is speaking out loud about them. I happen to know that both are happening. And so a lot of what we're doing is coming in and creating these programs. Sometimes it's a 90-day accountability, for example, where we do a keynote, we create a theme, we work to solve a problem, and then there's accountability. And instead of having the team be accountable to their boss, they're having them be accountable to me through our system. I call it a daily nudge. You set your goal for the week. I say, good morning, Dr. Jacqueline. What's the one thing you're going to accomplish today? And at the end of the day, I say, hey, Dr. Jacqueline, did you do it? Yes or no? Why not? What about tomorrow? And so companies are having them use in my system, not white labeled for their own company, because what's the number one reason, Al, you know this, what's the number one reason people leave their company? Who are they leaving because of?
Usually because of their boss.
Their boss.
Yeah.
Bam, right? So if you're asking me and I have to tell my boss every day why you suck, I'm not going to do it. I'm either going to lie. You're never going to get to the root cause of anything. You're not going to get it. It's not going to work. But when you have them come to me and I provide the company back their aggregate, the names are removed and you can actually see trends. Boss Joe Blow, not effective, blah, blah, blah. Unclear direction from Boss Joe Blow coming from all these people. Then Bob and Sally and Mary are not being pinpointed and singled out and ridiculed from the Boss Joe Blow who stinks. Right. We can accomplish a lot more and we can figure out where people come off the rails, where they get sidetracked. And also the people in the seats, the employees will realize that they're not being penalized because they have real lives and they have to juggle a lot of things, right? Because if your sister, daughter, or someone has COVID, that now becomes your priority. That's what you're taking care of today. Even if you spend half your day and get back to your computer at 10 o'clock at night, right? But don't apologize for dealing with life. You just have to be able to establish a pattern of when things pop up, you know how to redirect. Because at the end of the day, this is a long tail play. Being a good employee and a contributor is not about every single day being at an A game, because we're human and we're not, and we're burned out, and there's all of that. Right. So how do we encourage people to find their strength, have a sense of belonging, give their best self, feel complete, and that they can be this great work family member and personal family member, and not always apologize for being lousy at all of them, right? Because your presence is your presence. I'm here with you now. My phone is shut off. The door is locked. The dog was taken care of. Everybody else is good because I'm with you and your audience. And that's all that matters to me right now. And when we're done, I get up, I go on to the next thing, and they get my full undivided attention. You need to find a way to give your people the chance to be in their zone with you doing this. Give their best, but know that they need to get up from the computer. They need to go take a walk. They need to drink water, rest their eyes, like breathe, stretch, something, eat. people are saying, oh, 7:00 at night, I'm wondering why I'm getting a headache. I never had breakfast yet. Okay, so how do we build the humanity back in, give people permission to know it's okay, you're supposed to be human? Remember I talked about radical flexibility. Some people would say they like to get up at 5 or 6 a.m. before their kids are up, school-age kids. Get up the hour or two before, crank out whatever you need to crank out, take the hour or two to get them prepped, fed, ready for school, go, do my work, 3 o'clock, turn into a pumpkin, spend the next 3 hours with my family, and then 8 to 10 or something like that, or whenever, do that quiet time, work the strategy when no one's looking for me at all.
Makes perfect sense.
You're an entrepreneur, right? Did you? I mean, you find a way. So we need to figure out how to respect our human needs and be able to still bring our best to the table and communicate. So Al's bringing his best, Jacqueline's bringing hers, I'm bringing mine, because we're not all supposed to have the same strengths anyway.
Right. And we might not be bringing our best at the exact same time because of other things that are going on. So,
which is even better, which is right. That's the goal, right? You show up with yours at a time. Like I have, I just hired a VA team, and I had not a great experience with one of my overseas people. I found a team of 2 lovely sisters in my neighborhood. They live 10 minutes from my house, if you can believe them. I met them on Facebook. 10 minutes from my house. And they're 2 lovely young Black women. And I say that because one of the things I promised my daughter, we were having this conversation, and she said, Mom, what are the things you're literally doing to show your support of equity and diversity and inclusion? And I talked about, I do a lot for neurodiversity because I happen to be someone who was prejudiced against for many, many years because I have issues and had a special needs child, like things that you wouldn't see, right? So I took a lot of heat and a lot of disrespect and a lot of second guessing because of things that were not visible to the naked eye. But I also listen, and I've been learning and getting better. And, we're not all perfect. So I go into conversation and I say, excuse me, I might not say this properly at first, but I want to learn from you. So help me. And I'll say my piece, knowing I might have misspoke a few words, but my goal is to be respectful and to learn and be better by the end of our conversation. And I said to her, I'm going to make a commitment to help a small business, some type of a diverse individual, whatever that means. That would be the next person I hire, because I can make a financial skin in the game impact and help someone, lift someone else up, give them a chance to grow with our organization, give them a chance to help other people. So when I have that next chance, that's one of the things that I'd like to be able to contribute and to do, in a committed way. And I did. And I'm really, it's working out great. But you got to put what you want out to the universe and stand behind your decisions and keep going.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pat. And we've got a comment from the lovely Teuta Abduli. Great topic. Thanks for watching, Teuta. She's in the UK.
Nice.
So, Pat, as we bring our show to a close, you brought up so many amazing points. And I'm wondering if you could share, as we close, one solution or thought-provoking idea for people to consider to do things differently than they've been doing it this whole time.
Thank you for asking. It's been driving me crazy why my ideas are always so big, and how do I make them very small so that they're bite-sized, something someone could say yes to. And so I realized everything I do and think about is 90-day leaps. And leaps means leaders empower amazing people so they join and stay. And so my gift has been helping to transform teams into talent magnets. And so if someone's got extra budget, or they have one problem that keeps them up at night, one thing that's sucking up their calendar time, and give a foot in the door, a chance to have a conversation. We've been doing a lot of game-changing work with just one theme, one topic. It might be an attraction, it might be an engagement, it might be retention. We'll work through that. That's not the point. But what one thing, one problem can we solve that we can do now and make an impact in the next 90 days? And so I run executive roundtables. Your audience, if anybody's in the C-suite or making HR decisions, welcome to join. That's an open invitation to apply for that. But what one conversation, what one leadership struggle is keeping you up at night? And we've got about 24 90-day leaps that we've been implementing over the last how many years. So give us the chance to do one thing better over 90 days. So for individuals, what one thing? For a leader of a group, what's the one problem we can solve? And it makes it a lot less daunting. It makes it a lot less risky. People say, oh, I've already got my team. I have my preferred partners. Okay, give me just a shot. It's fine. Think about what one thing, and if it's not with me, with someone else, what's one problem you can let someone help you tackle that can change the whole rest of the next year or the rest of your career. 90-day leads.
Great idea.
Love it. Fantastic. Pat, you're such a dynamo. I love all of your energy. And again, you look terrific. You look very well rested, and you're just an inspiration. So thank you for coming back and seeing us. What's the best way for people who are listening on the radio and can't see your banner to get in touch with you?
Pat@rockonsuccess.com is my email. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I leave my messenger open, so I chat with people all day. So Pat Roque, my last name is ROQUE. And to schedule time, it's easy. Virtual coffee is rockonsuccess.com/coffee. rockonsuccess.com/coffee. And that's just a simple way to spend 15 to 20 minutes to check in, say hi, and see if there's one thing we can make your life easier around. So I appreciate you very much. This was a lot of fun. I missed you guys.
Yeah, nice.
I missed you too. It's nice seeing you. One thing before you go, are you still active over on Clubhouse?
I am. So we're doing Motivation Mondays at 11 a.m. and I'm doing evenings, usually like 8 to 9 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I've got Leadership Success Secrets, and we're talking about a lot of the individual topics: the Great Resignation, women in the workplace, yay or nay, should I stay? So we come up with fun ways to frame the questions so we see what resonates and where people actually show up. But a lot about thought leadership, a lot about helping people figure out what's the one thing that I'm the go-to expert for, right? Because that's really, I think, the holy grail. If you want to think about all the jargon and everything else, what's that one thing that you're the go-to expert for? And if we can help people find just that, I think everything else falls in place. So I'm at Rock on Success, my Twitter, Clubhouse, Insta, everywhere. It's Rock on Success. So you can find me there. And if you want to create a show, if you two want to co-host, co-moderate a Clubhouse room, I'm always game to do that. I love it because that's no hairbrush required.
Good.
No lipstick needed on that one.
Oh, it's great. It's great. You could be playing with my puppy, cuddled up, and have an hour of good chatter and give a lot and get a lot. So it's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you both very much.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. And keep up with the smiling, and you just look great.
Feel good.
All right. Bye, Pat.
Thank you. You guys rock.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Tons of great information and thought-provoking statistics, Al. I mean, it's really shocking what's been going on.
There is a whole lot these days in the business literature about this Great Resignation, which is, I think we're in it now. I think it has begun. I think people are making that leap change. And a lot of it are people our age, let's say, older young people who have had a career and have built up a battery of money and are thinking to themselves that my kids are grown. My responsibilities are lighter than they used to be. My family issues aren't what they used to be. They're easier now. Maybe I need to make a change in direction. And I think a lot of people are taking this opportunity to move in new directions. And it's good to know that there's somebody around like Pat who can help them with that.
Absolutely. And Al, I'm here in a beach town, and of course the summer is still going till the 21st, but Labor Day weekend is the big close of everything here. People like packing up and going. But what I found this summer that was so different is that the retailers, the restaurants, the small businesses, most of them had up signs for the whole season, help wanted. And I asked a few of them, what's going on? We can't get anybody to work because of unemployment. People are getting unemployment payments, so they were not coming back to work. So it'll be interesting to see now that those extended payments have expired, if that has any impact in the workforce.
It'll be interesting. It's going to be difficult to measure because Pat made the point that when
Yeah,
you
she
drop
did.
unemployment, your statistic disappears. So it'll be hard for people to claim success with anything, not knowing where those numbers are coming from. But I've never seen any. I'm a fairly senior guy. I've never seen anything like this. Totally new to me. So
What do you make of it, Al?
I think it's, well, I'm kind of the rosy optimist, and I believe there's a positive outcome out there for everybody. I do know that an awful lot of people are really humming that tune. Take this job and shove it on a regular basis. You hear it. Now it's kind of an earworm in my own head. Thank you, Pat Roquet, for that. I think that there's a lot of change in the wind, and that it's being propelled at the grassroots level. For a change, it's not corporate America that's driving change. It's the employees that are demanding change. And it'll be interesting to see how corporate leaders respond to that.
Good point. And how can people work with you in what you're providing at BCAT to try to take what's going on in the world and find that unison for teams? Because you really focus a lot on teams and getting everybody to row in the same direction and march to the same tune, not the tune that Pat just talked about.
It's a different kind of a thing. I listen, for years I worked in corporate America as a project manager. And a lot of the projects I ran were projects with people who already had jobs. I mean, we never had the luxury of forming a project team by hiring new people. We always had to work with the people that we already had. It was never about giving people an MBTI or a disc and trying to find out what seat on the bus they belonged in. We never had the luxury of moving people around like chess pieces. People already had jobs. They were already earning money. The real magic of teams is when you take ordinary people and turn them into powerhouses by giving them a purpose that compels them. And that's what we do with the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit. We have a particular methodology for that. It's a 3-step process. It's easy to follow. You can do some of it yourself. In fact, a lot of it. It starts with a kind of an interesting question. We teach the whole thing in a webinar. I put it up on my name there on the screen. GetBCAT, GetBCAT.com/webinar. The next one is September 14th, U.S. Eastern Time, 1 o'clock. So I'm hoping people will join. We teach you how to do it. We teach you about the methodology we've developed to make it more scientific and procedural. And it's interactive. It's a 1-hour webinar, and we never run it with more than maybe 20 people. The goal is to get people to talk to each other about their experiences and build on what we know with each other. So it's fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Well, good luck with that, Al. That sounds very exciting. I'm happy for you.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. Appreciate the opportunity to tell everybody about it.
And before we go, would you like to just tell people where they can find you on RVN Television?
Well, RVN Television is a streaming video service. I host a couple of programs there, one called CEO Chat. It's streamed every Friday at 10:30. Another is RVN Television Morning Coffee, which is more of a talk show format. That happens on Friday mornings at 8, from 8 till 9, or 7:30 till 9. Sometimes we stretch it a little bit for an interview. So I'm easy to reach. The best way to get a hold of me personally is al.cini, al.cini@getbcat.com. If you're interested in RVN Television, that's rvntelevision, all one word, .com.
Thank you, Al. It's been a pleasure seeing you and having you here again on another wonderful show. And thank you so much to Pat Roquet for being here as well.
Totally my pleasure. Thanks, Dr. Jack.
All right. Thanks, Al. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We have one show left today, and that is Talking Heads. That's at 4 o'clock. And if you've never joined us before, I encourage you to join us today. We have 2 expert presenters, and that's at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. British Summer Time. Okay, Alice got this great seminar on the 14th, and I hope that you do go over to getbcat.com/webinar and sign up. 2 days later, I have my seminar called The Power of Listening. And this seminar you can attend in person. We have 3 options. Or you can just get the link and you can watch it anytime you want. I'm very excited because I started working with a couple of people to put together some video clips for this. So the Power of Listening seminar is going to be interactive. You're going to watch short videos about people communicating, and then you're going to get to answer some questions using your own device to determine whether or not you understood what you saw. And then at the end of the 90 minutes, we'll be bringing it all back together to see what lessons you can take away from the learning. So again, it's The Power of Listening. It's $47 a ticket. You can join at 9:30, 1, or 7:30. Or as I mentioned, you don't have to attend at all in person. You can actually just get the link and you can attend in your own convenience at your own time. Okay, so how can you do this? You have 2 choices. You can go to Instagram to @Dr. Jacqueline and you can sign up that way. Actually, you have 3 choices. You can go to my website, drjacqueline.com. You can book your ticket right there. You can go to Instagram to my link tree, or you can go to Eventbrite and you can just put in The Power of Listening Seminar. What are you waiting for? Better relationships, deeper connections, and more productivity and efficiency in your life. Who doesn't want that? All right, thank you again. I appreciate it. Also, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, if you'd like to be a sponsor for one of our shows, go to drjacqueline.com and all the information you need is right there. I'm going to end with a beautiful music video from my vocal coach. Her name is Madeline Chan, and the song is Follow Love. I hope you follow love, follow your heart, follow your intuition. We'll see you again in a couple of hours. Bye.
By your love, what you giving me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher.